So originally I was planning on reading the Dune sequels, but then I realized, wait a minute, hold on a minute. I didn't love Dune. You know, I thought it was okay. A good book, obviously. I could appreciate it for what it is, but it's not something I'm like, obsessed with or want to read from like more of an obligation. So I said, you know what? Why do I have to tie myself down in a series that I'm ultimately not interested in? So, that one's cut. And now we got Dragonriders of Pern by McCaffrey. And yes, I know, I have a speech problem. I can't say the word porn right. So just ignore that, okay? So I just kind of came across these books because I was looking for, more classic fantasy because I was, in the mood for that. Since rewatching Lord of the Rings, reading Lord of the Rings, I'm like, well, what's something else that came out around that time? And only about 13 years later, after Lord of the Rings, came Dragonflight. And I gotta say, this novel is really a mixed bag for me. It's really a mixed bag. One of the positives I have to give this book is its world building. It's very like detailed, from like the history of porn to the thread to kind of like the relationships with dragons. It's very, you could tell that Anne had a vision and like she had this big grand idea. Now, is it executed in the right way? Mostly. There's a couple things I would have changed. I would have maybe simplified it more instead of a lot of info dumps. But I can respect that she had these huge ambitions. So let's get on to the novel itself. First of all, I really like the main character, Lessa. She is like it is kind of similar to Dune in a way. She was part of this noble family that was kind of wiped out, and she like it's usurped by this evil guy named Fax. So she kind of like is able to magically change her appearance to this old lady, which is kind of cool. She has like some sort of magic powers, which is able to influence people. So she kind of pretends to be this maid and infiltrates Fax's people. So she's able to like psychically manipulate the vocals to be lazy and stupid, basically, kind of dumb. So she kind of undermines Fax's missions by having them be very bad at their jobs. So there's this guy named Falal, and by the way, Falal is probably my least favorite character in this book. Like, at least with Fax, he's an asshole, but with Falal, I feel like the author wants to root for you, but he's definitely, like, not the best person. Anyway, he has all these new dragons that hatched, and he's looking for people to ride the dragons, and Lessa manipulates him into killing Fax. Sorry, these names are a bit confusing. Falal, Fanol, Fax, like a lot of F's in these books. So Falal realizes that Lessa has these like great psychic powers, and that she will be the best dragon rider ever. So be the real woman. It's just also hard for me to say with a problem speech impediment. This book is not good for me. So Falal's the real leader, and Lessa is the real woman. And the Okay, so this is where things get a little weird. So the dragon like psychically manipulates both of them into having sex, which is very rapey and wrong. Like it's just weird. Like I don't exactly think Falal's at fault here. Like he said, he's also under the influence of Sex Dragon. Not that Falal's completely off the hook with me, because he is very, like, he's very domineering over Lessa. He shakes her a lot. He screams a lot, uncalled for times. It just, He's very icky, that's how I put it. So, turns out these aren't just regular dragons, the time traveling dragons, which is the hook that got me into the book to begin with because, I love dragons because of Game of Thrones, and I love time travel because of Doctor Who. So, this kind of felt like a match made in heaven for me. So, they realize they don't have enough dragons to defeat the bad guys, so they bring them back in time to have them breed, and by the time like you get to now, there'll be a bunch more dragons, which is actually really clever. I enjoy when time travel kind of plays like that, and they don't exactly go into like changing the past and stuff, which is cool because like that gets really messy. You know, we all remember the wedding of River Song. Well, anyway, Lessa goes back in time and sees her family getting killed, which I think is a really nice moment that kind of, you know, shows Lessa's survivalship bias. And she also, well, she realizes, like, where are these dragons that came, that I sent back in time? Where are they now? Turns out they were sent in the future. So she brings them to the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, I was expecting the book to be like, this is a weird book because one, there's a lot of info dump in this book, but two, not much happens. I feel like I said, the middle of the section of the book, nothing happens for like at least like at least 100 pages in the middle of the book, which I think is not that good. But this when stuff does happen, it is really cool. So I'm like really mixed on this book. I'm gonna give it a B minus because you know, pros, time traveling dragons, and the plot is interesting. And like to see where it goes. Cons, middle section was very nothing happened, and the dragon, that one dragon, is kind of rapey, and Philol is definitely an asshole. So yeah, that kind of goes to a B minus because I said so. Let me know what you guys thought of Dragonflight down in the comments below. My video on Dragon Quest, which is book 2, will be in 2 weeks, but in the meantime, I'll be making videos on Sherlock Holmes and Torchwood. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.